Welcome to the Unenlightened Stepmom. Mary G here, and today I'm going to share with you the most contagious virus that lives in most of our homes and the toxins that we have to strive to eliminate from our houses, whether we're parents, whether we're not parents, whether we have animal beings, whether we don't, even if we live alone. These things are very, very important for our health and for our well-being. So here we go. The number one virus that's in most homes that is incredibly contagious and spreads so quickly and truly lessens our health and our well-being is anger and fear and anxiety. Number one is anger, and then fear and anxiety. They come very closely, and they're all very viral, and they spread so quickly. And if you think about how you take care of your home and how you take care of your space, to me, this is the most important thing that we can be eliminating in our homes, in our workplaces, in our minds and our hearts, because it's the moment that we become angry, everyone around us feels it and reacts to it. The moment that we become fearful and afraid or anxious, we're going to behave differently. The people around us are going to sense that and feel it, and they too are going to respond in ways in response to that fear and that anxiety, whether that's to also become fearful and anxious, or whether it's the opposite and it's to put up such a strong front against it that it feels almost aggressive. And so we have to watch out for these things and see that we're doing what we can to eradicate these things from our minds, from our homes. If you are spending a lot of time at home right now because of the COVID-19 coronavirus, be careful that you're not spreading that to your children. They're happy to be out of school. They're so happy to be with their parents because kids love their parents more than anyone else, whether or not they're able to express it or acknowledge it. It's true. Children's favorite people on the planet are their parents and their caretakers. So it's our duty to match their joy and their gratitude. And so that brings me to, well, what do I do? What do I do if there's fear and anger and anxiety in my home? Number one, you look at the reality of it. So if it's normal in your relationships to have that, I have another video that talks about fearlessness and how fear affects our relationships, our personal relationships, and our families. You've got to get on top of that. And if that's a pattern within your relationship, to respond with anger, to project frustration, to expect the other being to match your fear, your anxiety, your anger, and either remedy it for you or reflect it back to you. Sometimes our codependence is that we want them to remedy it for us. We rely on them to be our grounding source or to be our stability, but other times our codependency lies in wanting them to reflect it. I'm really afraid right now, and I want you to be really afraid. I want you to match my fear. I want you to match my stress. I want you to match my anger. And you'll know this because if the other person doesn't match it, we go even further in that direction. We become even more angry, even more afraid, even more anxious. So notice if those patterns are in your relationship. Step one is to look within yourself to remedy them. So again, it's not about blaming it on the other person in the partnership. We have to look at ourselves and hold ourselves accountable. Are we indulging in this behavior? Are we condoning this behavior? And are we participating in it or causing it ourselves? Those are the first questions to ask. And then after that, you can start to take steps, either seeking professional help within your romantic relationship if you'd like, on how to remedy those things, or just have an adult coherent relationship conversation which cannot happen if one of you is angry or afraid or hungry. So don't be hungry, don't be angry, don't be afraid or stressed. And when that time arises for you, then have a conversation between you two about, can you both commit and agree to not projecting those things at each other, and having ways that you can acknowledge. So for Eddie and I, there's almost like code words that we have. They're not code words, they're just honesty, because we have that type of strength within ourselves and within our relationship, that we can handle that. So for instance, if I start to spiral down some fearful or anxious road and I want someone to join me on it, Eddie just says it as it is. You just sound really fearful right now. This is all coming from fear. And then I think, oh, yes, it is. This is coming from fear. Or perhaps we're having a conversation and I'm spiraling in some direction. Then Eddie can say to me, you're becoming very emotional, and I don't think that we should continue this conversation. And vice versa. So if there's something going on and Eddie is feeling really adamant about his position in a way that it's possible he can't hear the other side, can't hear my perspective, then I have to point that out and just say, I don't think that we should have this conversation right now because I'm not feeling heard at all. And, and that I just want to acknowledge that. And I also want to acknowledge that I'm hearing you. I just don't think we should have this conversation right now. Can we have it later? And then it's like, sure. And so we wait, because my response, I wish I stayed cool in all responses, but if suddenly I don't feel like I'm being heard, I can become angry or afraid or anxious, something like that. And so I don't want to continue the conversation. It's not about the other person and how they're behaving. It's about me. It's like, okay, now I'm starting to slip into some fearful, stressed out, angry place. I'm going to step away from this now, and I'm just going to communicate that. But we have that agreement where we can be honest with each other, and it doesn't hurt the other person's feelings. There's no name calling, there's no shouting, there's no angry projections. And so because we don't have that in our relationship, that was an agreement up front from the very beginning when we met, that none of that would be allowed. It's literally like zero tolerance in our relationship. And if you start your relationship like that, it becomes really easy, because before you're too attached, if it's clear that the partner is not on board with the no angry, fearful, anxious projections, then you just end it there. Hey, this isn't working. You're not holding up your part of the agreement. And I said zero tolerance, because you guys, once you indulge in patterns, they're really hard to break and they're really hard to change. So if you're starting a new relationship, start it well. If you're already in a relationship and you feel that you guys have patterning behaviors that aren't very uplifting, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm some type of professional. Do I think that we have power over our own mind? Yes. If you need help cultivating the tools to do that, then seek professional help. Or read yogic scripture. Do whatever it is for you. Read the Bible. Read whatever it is for you that gives you those tools to be in control of the quality of your mind, and navigate that. And then your children, well, they're children. So they're learning how to navigate anger and fear from your behavior. So if they see you constantly giving in to anger and fear, then they're constantly going to give in to anger and fear. So, we have to be strong for the children that are around us, and demonstrate skill. And if you feel that you're slipping into those places, let them see how you navigate that. Apologize to them. There's nothing wrong with apologizing to a child and saying, wow, I'm slipping into a place of anger, and I feel like I'm affecting you with it. I'm sorry. Or I did go to a place of anger and I'm sorry. So apologize for those things. One thing is just acknowledging the relationship, the relationships you have within your home, and being real about where they are and what's happening with them and what you can do about it. And then what are some tools that I say for your own mind that I think work very well? If you have God in your life, reach for that. use the tools that have been tested over time. Prayer. In yoga, we call it japa, repeating the name of God. You can also use mantra, if mantra works for you, and find a way to do that. So if you have God in your life, reach out for God. I know Eddie always says to me, if we say that we have faith, but we experience fear, then we don't have faith. Then we're not truly steeped in our faith. Because if we always had faith in God, if we always knew that we were going to be protected and taken care of, then we would not live in fear. And I don't mean the primordial fear, like someone's breaking into my house, therefore I'm having a reaction that we would call fear, and that is stimulating and activating certain hormones and physiological changes within my body that prepare me to fight and defend my family or get my family out of here. That's different. That's real. I mean more thinking it's going to happen when it's not. If I'm sitting around all day like, well, what if someone gets in my house? That's a lack of faith. If it happens, it happens. I hope we're all blessed enough that we don't have to experience that, but if we do, then we do. But being afraid about it is a lack of faith. And so I know that there's crazy things that happen in the world, but they say, I've never counted myself, they say that in the Bible it says 365 times, fear not. One for each day of the year. Fear not. So that because we are intended to have faith and to realize that God is there to support us and protect us and guide us and show us our path and our journey. So if you have God in your life, you need to nourish your faith. Find ways to remind yourself of your connection to God. If you don't have God in your life, then you can move to the next step, which is gratitude. Gratitude is the key in overcoming fear and anger and anxiety. And when you have true gratitude in your heart and your mind, those other things literally can't exist. That was something Eddie G taught me many years ago. If I have my heart full of gratitude, anger can't exist. I can't be grateful for Eddie and angry at him at the same time. It doesn't really work that way. So I'm either truly grateful for him, in which case I have reason and understanding and compassion, not anger within my heart or my mind. And if I have anger, then gratitude has left the building. So gratitude is an incredible tool. It's nothing, don't go over the top with thinking you have to do something. It's like, oh, I'm angry. I really wished Eddie had washed the dishes today. He had a lot of time off, and I was at work all day, and the dishes still aren't done. And I wish that he had washed them. And now I'm angry, and I'm going to kind of, walk around the house giving off angry vibrations. I'm going to just permeate them through the house so everybody knows what I'm feeling, but I'm not going to say anything because I'm above that, right? Oh, Lord. It's hilarious the things we do, isn't it? Okay. So then I just have to go, what if... Some of my friends know I talk about death a lot. It's kind of funny, but it's a great way to practice gratitude. If I'm like, what if Eddie died tonight in his sleep? Do I want my last few hours with him being me, just steeped in anger over dishes, which I could easily do myself, or not, or just leave them? Again, I've said in my other videos, I find this more with the women in the house. We like things to be just right. We want the dishes to be done like this. And I'm not saying it's all women. I know there's lots of men like this as well. So whatever, or not a woman or a man, whatever. If you're a being that really likes your dishes washed all the time, be prepared to be the one that does the dishes all the time. Just because you like the dishes done all the time, the way that you want them done, doesn't mean that everyone else in your household has to have your same interest and obsession with what's going on with the dishes, right? So let it go. Let it go. If you want them cleaned, clean them. If you don't feel like cleaning them, leave them. They'll still be there for someone to wash them later. Isn't that great? It's not the end of the world. It's really not worth creating toxic vibes all through your house for everyone to have to wallow through over some freaking dishes with lunches refried beans stuck on them. It's like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Put them on the floor and let the cats lick it up. Of course, then you have to wash the cat slime off. Whatever enzymes are in the cat's saliva, good Lord, they leave like a layer of slime over anything that they eat off of. Have you noticed that? That's crazy. And that takes some, like, maybe a little soakage, the slime. Don't just like give a gentle and think it's done after your cat's licked something. You gotta like get the cat enzyme slime off of there. Anyways. Okay, gratitude. And then another tool that I think is really nice, whether you want to remember gratitude, whether you want to remember your connection to God or connection to spirit, connection to the divine, whatever it is you like to call it, have something in every room that does that. I read that recently in a card reading that I was doing. I call it a card reading. It sounds so official, you know, like I have a bunch of fun tarot decks, and they're just, I have one that's really beautiful. It's called Earth Warriors Oracle, and it has an artist. Her Etsy name is Mariposa Galactica, and I love I have them right here. Let me just, the artist is so beautiful. I just am really into her artwork, but also Alana Fairchild. I was reading in a card that I pulled, a beautiful card that I pulled. In it, she was talking about being connected to spirit and to have things around the house that reminded you of that, so that you don't forget. So that I wish I could remember which one it was and I would read it to you. But I thought, you know, we have that already in our house. Whether it's like a beautiful crystal. We like crystals around here. Or whether it's an image that reminds you of God in some way. You know, we're into yoga, so we have some of the mythological figures from yoga all over our house, whether it's Ganesha or Krishna. We also have some Buddha images, and we have images of Jesus and Mary in our house. I know it's a wide variety, but they all of those pictures remind us of God. I have some artwork by Mariposa Galactica on my wall, and that too. That's really helpful. So, yeah, I can't remember which card it was that I read that it said that, but I thought that was a great tip. So have like actual physical things that remind you. I thought if I found it real quick, I would read it to you. But I don't know if I do. So I'm not going to spend too much time. But do those things. Yeah. Okay. Those are my tips for getting rid of the most common virus and toxins that exist in our homes. And honestly, you guys, all of those things lead to high levels of stress, which do affect our immune system. And they affect our ability to sleep well, which affects our immune system, our digestive system, our cardiovascular system. It affects our ability to, it affects the all the systems of the body are affected by sleep as well, and stress. And so when you have a lot, or even a regular patterning, even if it's only happening once daily, that there is anger or fear or anxiety that floods through your house, it's not only dropping the frequency, the high vibes of your house, and frequencies are important. Eddie was telling me that a lot of scientists are studying that really the only way to get rid of bacteria is through vibration, like sound vibration. You guys, sound vibration is so important. So yes, the frequencies in your house will be shifted, even if that patterning is only coming through once a day. The anger, the anxiety, the fear. However, once a day, that's pretty good. But, you know, Eddie always says to me, raise the bar. So if it's happening for you twice an hour, tomorrow, once an hour. The next day, raise the bar. once every other hour. After that, raise the bar once every 3 hours. You get the idea. Until it's happening less and less, spreads out, where their days go without there being angry confrontations in your house, etc., and exchange of fear and anxiety, and just see how that affects your well-being. Please subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Comment below on any questions that you have or content that you would like me to be sharing in these videos. And anything that really resonated for you, that spoke to you, comes from my teachers and my mentors, and anything that didn't comes from me, and I am growing and developing my own personal growth and journey every day. So thank you for your patience and your understanding. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye.